Greetings, everybody. This is Jean-Claude Matuku, and welcome to the Canadian Me, where we build communities one story at a time. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing all right. So, in today's episode, I just wanted to reflect on the current state of affairs and the need for us to sometimes just disconnect because it is just ridiculous out there. When you read the news or you see the news headlines, it seems like things are just getting, I don't know, things are just getting really bad. And for that reason, at times, I think we become so consumed by the headlines and the negative news, which is actually real in so many people's lives. And we unfortunately can easily find ourselves in situations where depression becomes a reality, because whenever you feel like the world is falling apart, unfortunately, so many people don't really know how to cope with that. And I feel like that is the state of affair right now. You put on CNN or all these other media platforms, even here locally in Canada, and you see that it seems like things are just going south quickly. And to just give you a little context, I'm going to read some key headlines that, things that happened actually last week or this week as I filmed this video, to just show you how easy it is for people to fall into this, I don't know, state of doomness, or if that's even a word, given the situation that we're in right now. So allow me to quickly just I don't want to share, but I'll just read quickly what this week's headlines have been. So, one, Trump threatens 100% tariff over Canada-China trade deal. As you know, people have been following the news. Canada and China kind of did reach a deal where I think Canada will allow around 49,000 Chinese EVs into the Canadian marketplace annually. So that's quite a huge, development, given that I think for so many years, Chinese EVs were not entering to Canada. Now, these grants, I think, so many consumers an opportunity to, I don't know, test out or at least just have access to EVs. And as you know, they're, I think, cheaper. Please correct me if I'm wrong, than the current EVs. I'm talking about the North American EVs. So I think this is going to be a huge game changer. And as you know, the US is not happy. And now we're seeing that Trump is threatening 100% tariff over, the Canada-China trade deals. I mean, if you're looking for a car right now, that doesn't sound good. And if you own a business or if you just a consumer, I think that's quite shocking when you hear that there is a chance that we could get hit by 100% tariff due to this deal that we just made, I guess, with China. The second headline is, Canada disinvited from Trump's board of peace. Those people who've been following the news, I think Trump has established this board of peace kind of organization. Honestly, I can't speak to it because I haven't read a lot about it, but I guess Canada was uninvited. I don't know what that means, but it looks like we won't be participating. We won't be around the discussion table, and I guess we'll be on the menu. The third headline is, leadership race begins in Quebec. As you know, the Quebec premier, Legault, just resigned, or he said that he won't be coming back. And now there is an openness to some race. Now, if you live in Quebec, you could either be celebrating or sad, depending on where you fall on the spectrum of politics. Now, Legault has been a great advocate for French culture and ensuring that French remains the sole language in Quebec. Of course, there have been some different policy issues, and as you know, policies are quite subjective, and some people, I'm sure, are happy by this news, and others maybe should be concerned because we don't know who's going to replace him and how tough they're going to be. I'm talking about who's going to replace him as the leader of the Coalition Avenir Québec, which is CAQ. We don't know who's going to come next, but anyways, it looks like we are in for a good ride in the next few coming weeks or months, right? The fourth headline is the former Olympian Ryan Wedding arrested in Mexico. drugs, cartels, and God knows what. That's another news headline. And again, you can see, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Is it a positive thing? Is it a political move? Is it just a law and order kind of thingy? Je ne sais pas, I don't know. And then finally, I think this hits home quite heavily. The widespread layoffs hitting the federal government right now. I'm talking about the government of Canada has been issuing layoff letters left, right. And here I'm talking about people learning that their jobs or their positions have been impacted. Hence, the panic. I think based on the news, I don't know how accurate this is, but I think up to almost 10,000 letters were sent this week. I'm talking about the week of, what's the day today? This current week right now. I hear so many people receive their letters, and the letters simply means that, hey, your job could be cut. It is not an immediate cut, based on my understanding. And I think it might be rolled out. The whole job reduction and people getting laid off might take place within the 3-year period, whatever. And some maybe actually have impacted sooner than later, but it just shows you that there's so many things happening. So I just wanted to read those headlines to show you that if you put on the news, honestly, and this is just a fraction of what you have to see, it can be depressing quite fast. And so you find people just sad. The cost of living is going up, and I'm sure that's no longer news. People's mortgage renewals coming up this particular year, 2026. I think a lot of people will have to renew their mortgage. And then you bring things like people losing their jobs in the federal public service, people being, I think, forced, if I can use that word, to come back to work into the office. Things like that. You really feel like people are being pushed to a certain degree, and so we find ourselves in a situation where you don't really know what's going on, you don't really know what people are dealing with, but they are still dealing with things, and some things I feel like it's a universal impact. Things like the cost of living going up. I think that impacts a lot of people. Things like, the unemployment among the youth. So if you have a young person working or looking for work in your community, how challenging it is right now. And then the other thing that I didn't read, colleges and universities laying off staff because not enough students coming through right now. So there are so many things. Conestoga College closing off their campuses left, right. And then you have Algonquin College closing its campus in Perth. There is just a lot of things happening. So why am I making the video? It's just to simply reflect and say, hey, yes, these times are tough. And unfortunately, the news headlines, however real they might be, they don't help that much. And yet we have cell phones every single day feeding us all this stuff, the headlines. You go on TikTok, so many analysts, I guess, including myself now, are talking about these things. And it really does, I can see how depressing it can be. And that is why I'm encouraging you to just step back if you can. And I do understand, maybe it's so easy for me to say that, but it is very important for us to step back a little bit. Say, hey, wait a minute, I can step away from these headlines. I can take a little breath and think, try to find something else to focus on. And maybe you don't have something else to focus on. So I do understand that people they're living in different realities. Recently, I saw on the news this lady whose apartment needed a window replacement, and she had to live in a cold apartment for a couple of days. I don't know if it was weeks, but she had to endure that. An 80+ old woman. So people are dealing with things, and I understand that maybe sometimes even to think about something positive is extremely difficult or challenging to do. But if you can, for those who can, think about something positive. Look around your family. If you have family, try to redirect your energy over there. Try to stay away from maybe the news for a day. Make it part of your habit to not doom scroll, because the media fatigue is the thing. I read something about the secondhand, some kind of like a secondhand trauma, because people are experiencing so much trauma right now that by just consuming the media nonstop as well, you can end up feeling the same way. So I'm not discouraging you from getting informed, but if you feel overwhelmed, it's okay to step away. And then also, if you have other things that you can direct your attention towards, your family, a hobby, volunteering, I highly encourage you to do that. And then for those people who just can't, they feel stuck because the world, it feels like it's just falling around them. Things are just, crumbling and stuff. If you can, please seek out professional help. Those who are family, please call your loved ones, check on your friends and relatives, people who are going through it. Like I said, I live here in Ottawa, and indeed, these cuts or these letters that have been sent around, and I think they're still being sent around, will highly impact people. So people are going through it right now, and moments like this require empathy. They require kindness. If you're driving on the road and people just be kind. You don't have to do too much. Just be kind and be kind to one another, because you don't really know what people are dealing with right now. And like I said, if you feel like you are in that position where you just overwhelmed by everything, seek professional help if you can. And I do understand that it is a privilege to have access to these things, but there are different other numbers and pro bono services that you can access, hopefully. And I am highly encouraging you to reach out to people, to reach out to your communities. And those who don't have communities, like I said, I think there are some resources online. In the next few episodes, or even I will try to attach something in the description of this podcast, so that if you are going through it, hopefully you can try to reach out to people and to say, hey, me saying this is not minimizing, or I'm not trying to downplay what people are going through right now. I'm just saying that if you can and you feel like you're overwhelmed, please don't hesitate to reach out to people. And so I'm quite curious as well to hear, how do you disconnect? How do you detach yourself from overwhelming news activities? I'll tell you one thing. For me, I found that in 2014, when I think there was a lot of these racial issues happening, even in 2020, it was extremely hard to be online because of everything that we saw. And today I was talking to some friends, and we're just sharing about, how we have interacted or reacted to these things whenever we feel like it's too much. Maybe you consume Twitter so much. Maybe you are active on TikTok and you like to watch these videos. What do you do whenever you feel like you're overwhelmed? Or have you ever felt overwhelmed? Because maybe I'm speaking to you and this is not a problem for you. When is it the right time to say, okay, maybe I need to take a break? I'm curious to know what people do. And so if you have some comments, some suggestions, please put them in the comment section if you can, and let us know, how do you deal with the media avalanche sometimes, because it feels like that, especially right now with both internationally, and then you have things within Canada, and then you have things within our own communities. Today I was thinking about how cold it is right now, and how I'm really hoping that there won't be any news that we get online that people have succumbed to the cold weather and stuff. So there's just so much. So the question again goes back: how do you find a balance between information and just being overwhelmed by everything? That's a question I'm going to leave with you today, but I hope this podcast really finds you well. And if not, like I said, please, I send you good vibes. And if you're really feeling overwhelmed, please feel free to reach out to your loved ones. And if you can, reach out to professional help if you're feeling like you need that information right now. Again, this is Jean-Claude Mutukwu, and that was The Canadian in Me, where we build communities one story at a time. I'm out.